At one point, these children are
Oh, well, okay. The actors are not children.
he picks up Rachel and it's just
Keeps your strength up while you're menstruating.
I don't menstruate.
Yeah? Neither do I.
Based Giga Chan Sue. Hello and welcome back to the Binge and Cringe podcast. I'm Joe.
and I'm a surgeon.
Oh god, yeah. We were
Sorry,
just
we can
saying
redo that
before.
if you want.
No, this one's staying in. You have to deal with that, Stan. We were just saying to try and make this non-topical as possible so that this could come out at any point, because I don't think it's going to come out
I'm sorry,
recently.
you don't remember May of 2023 when everyone was talking about The Good Doctor for 4 days straight?
Dude,
it's perfect.
We also dated the previous podcast by talking about The Good Doctor during that as well. So both of these are now
People
dated.
aren't going to understand why we talk about The Good Doctor in every episode. It's gonna be
That's going to
episode
be
100.
another running theme of the podcast, as well as our outro, which is now let's talk about that.
Right, which I thought of and I thought was very slick.
It is so
Nice.
funny. I recently edited the first episode, which is why I was thinking of it. And that ending of me just going, wait, but we're ending. What do you mean we're talking about it? And you just go, let's talk about that. And then it ends. Stanz, I've realized something about myself that I'm not very happy about.
Okay, let me hear it.
I'm a Karen.
Oh, okay. How? I did not
so-
expect that to go this way.
Yeah.
This might make me think differently of you, so choose your words carefully.
Well, I do choose my words carefully when I'm talking to customer service, apparently.
Right. Slurs only.
Yeah, that's every Karen, obviously. Their first go-to is racial abuse. And by the way, we are going to talk about Glee at some point. I realized I didn't really address this. We're just talking about this is the podcast. This bit, the bit before we watch the episode, will probably just be us shooting the shit for a bit, and then we will talk a bit about Glee, watch the episode, and then the whole...
People are really clamoring for an episode 2 review in 2023.
So true. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer, though. In trying to get the Patreon URL for Binge and Cringe, which we mentioned 3 times in the first episode, all times with a caveat saying we haven't got it yet. There's no way that someone else has got the Binge and Cringe URL.
Right.
Someone else had the Binge and Cringe URL for
So
Patreon.
we're Binge and Cringe too. Didn't we caveat that? I feel like I gave us a second one.
Yeah, well, we don't need to. We have got the Binge and Cringe URL. Spoiler alert for this story, but
oh wow,
I tried to use it. It said it was taken, so then I went to the URL to see what it was, and it was a user account, not like a creator that you can like pay money towards. It was just a user, but they had a URL, which in my eyes is like pointless on Patreon. I then emailed customer support. I was like, yo, this person has got this. Their account seems inactive. They're not a creator. Could we use it? And they responded with, hey, we don't give away accounts unless they're inactive. And I'm like, well, it looks pretty inactive to me, but I don't know. But I also noticed that their Patreon was Cringe and Binge, but they had the URL Binge and Cringe.
Oh, you hit him with a technicality.
Even weirder, Cringe and Binge was available as a URL. So
What?
we could just swap. Like, we could get the URL that we want, and this user could have the URL that matches their name.
Right, it was a double hostage situation. You had their URL at gunpoint and they had yours. But
Yeah.
they started this. They just picked the wrong one.
They just did the wrong one. Maybe someone else had Cringe and Binge before. I don't know. And I couldn't get in contact with them personally because they didn't have any links attached to their site. Or so I thought, because then I just did an internet sleuth thing, trawled the internet, typing Cringe and Binge gaming on everything, found them, found an old email. I think they were 12 when they made this Patreon or something on all this account, because it was only like Minecraft gameplay that I ended up finding. But it was a couple of years ago, so I sent them an email hoping that they had the access to that email. They did. They replied. They said, I will change to Cringe and Binge. You can have Binge and Cringe. And we successfully got there, which is very sick.
That's amazing. You're going to have to send me this Minecraft gameplay after the fact, because I just want to see the shoulders on which we stood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did leave out the Karen part where I sent multiple emails like, well, actually, I feel like this account is definitely inactive if they're not a creator.
Yeah, I bet they're not a patron of any creator. Yeah, everyone at Patreon hates you now.
Yeah, I feel like I was one step away of messaging you and being like, hey, can you hit up anyone at Patreon and get us the URL?
Yeah, I called Jack Conti. He's got a picture of your face on a dartboard, and he's just throwing darts at it every day. He's like,
I was playing really cool fucking jazz on a keyboard, playing some funk. He's like, fuck this guy can't. Yeah.
Here's the thing about when you turn 30, all of a sudden, all of your anecdotes get so boring. Like, the only thing I have to say is like, well, I stopped drinking caffeine and eating sugar this week.
Oh,
like,
good for you,
it.
dude. Did you actually?
But
or is
really,
that just
there's like no goofs around that. There's no silliness. There's
Why?
No
Why did you?
Because I've just been feeling bad, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. This isn't podcast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is like for 60-year-old women, you know? It's like, oh yeah, maybe I'll go gluten-free.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not interesting here, but that is what I'm going through. That's my cross to bear.
I hope you get through that. Sounds really tough out there for the white 30-year-old man who's trying not to have sugar in his diet. Yeah, I do feel bad for you. I found out something that's insane this week that I had to share with you. Snapchat is insane it was insane at one point for user revenue. I watched the video. I can't remember who the name of the creator is, which is kind of cringe, so I'm sorry, Mr. Creator. He did like a deep dive into influencers that are making a shit ton of money on Snapchat because David Dobrik is exclusively on Snapchat now, which is weird, and I didn't know that.
Is he? I thought he got canceled. Is that a crazy thing?
Well, yeah, that too. But so I think he got a deal and went over to Snapchat because there's no like comments there, right? So there's no one can say anything to him. There's like
everyone
hey.
sees it and they're like, I hate this.
Yeah, but they can't say anything. What are they gonna do? DM him on Snapchat? He just doesn't accept them or ignores them, you know? So basically the most interesting part, the takeaway that I took, which is it's similar to the TikTok Creator Fund. You know, where they had like every month TikTok just had a base amount of money, like 100 million or whatever, and they just split that view-wise between every single TikTok creator. Well, Snapchat did that, but they had 1 million a day.
What?
Right? And they just split that up and gave that to creators. So
okay, I'm going to expose my naivety. How does Snapchat make money? I know they have like sponsored content.
Yeah, I think it's adverts. I don't really understand how they make that much money.
There's no subscription. I don't have like Snap Premium, right?
No,
I know.
And it's only, I mean, if I feel like I would be way too old to be on Snapchat, it must just be like really, really young people. I don't know anyone that still uses Snapchat, and I feel kind of good about that. That I'm not friends with anyone that does.
Nice. Yeah, Chris D'Elia or whatever is the only person on there.
Yeah, so 1 million a day was going to Snapchat creators who were specifically like partnered through Snapchat, like their equivalent of it anyway. If you just knew the right people in the industry and you were able to get a check mark, and then you made like literally one Snapchat post, the next day you get a DM from Snapchat and it says, oh, you made this much. And people were getting like £90,000, well, dollars, for like one Snapchat. How fucking insane is that? Someone made I guess
it really depends on how many people posted that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If like the big dogs didn't make any content. Interesting.
And if none of the other big dogs are on there, then you just get free money. Another creator made like 1 million in 6 weeks from like just doing daily posts on Snapchat.
And they are super famous creators, I assume. They have to be, so you get some sense of views.
They're like big, as in they probably have like 500,000 to 1 million subscribers maybe on like a platform, whether that's TikTok or YouTube or whatever. So they're big, but they're not like KSI or David Dobrik, you know? They're not like the upper echelon.
Oh, wait, so how much was David Dobrik making?
Fucking insane amounts. They speculated in the video, but they can't really get like an actual idea. I think they were saying something like 30k a day, they think, which is a lot, but kind of expected because it's David Dobrik.
Yeah, so, kind of a light week for me, to be honest. I mean,
we do that that's why we're doing this podcast, because Snapchat's giving us 30k. Did I mention
Peacock
this podcast
Plus
on Snapchat?
Discovery is paying us because they just put Glee back in their backlog.
I noticed something about the way that you talk about TV shows, by the way, Stanz.
Okay, tell me about it.
From editing the first episode. Let's talk about that. You have like one voice that you use to address like things, or like when you've got a thought in your head and you're trying to say it that isn't like part of a conversation. When you know you're on camera, it's your Stanz show voice. You were talking about Glee like it was an esport. It was so funny at parts. You were like,
all it is it's my subject matter expert voice, and it sounds that way because I am running the calculations in my head to make sure I don't say something stupid. You might have also heard it when I talk about drama on my YouTube channel.
Less because so though.
It's my tiptoe voice of like, I am going to make a statement that I think I understand, and I am going to make sure that it is impenetrable to like outside.
See, I feel, are you trying to do the voice now because you're not doing the voice?
No, I was actually I didn't have a real thought.
You were trying to come up with a thought as you were thinking. So now I've said that, you're just going to feel really self-conscious every time that you talk about editing on this podcast, which is great.
I've said so many things on the internet that I feel like even the veneer of being self-conscious, no shot. Right?
Actually,
at a certain point, we're watching Glee and I'm going to say some shit.
So true. Let's go. Speaking of Glee and saying shit, let's talk about Glee and say some shit. Woo!
Let's do it.
First of all, it's been, what, like a little over a week since we watched the first episode?
Yeah, let's call it 2.
Yeah. How is it, like, settled in for you? Are you still feeling as good about how amazing Glee is and how excited you are to watch the next episode?
Put a lot of words in my mouth, but I would say, yes, I'm excited. It definitely felt like a show that I could binge, right? Like, oh yeah, let's just keep the story moving. Which is one of my issues with 20-episode TV series, right? Or 20-plus episode TV series.
Yes.
Is like, I kind of want the juice. I want to know why this guy is in this relationship with his wife. And I want to know how this guy gets his other football friend to join the squad. You know what I mean? And it's like, let's just keep the story rolling because I want to get to the dessert at the end.
Yeah, I am really excited. Obviously, I have the benefit of knowing what's going to come up next. So I'm excited to get your reactions to everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, and all the feet, really. After seeing that episode, it's like, oh, it's a foot show.
Dude.
Let's go.
So after watching the first episode, it's made me terrified for the second episode because I am worried, is there going to be feet every episode and I was just an idiot and didn't realize?
You didn't realize it? Yeah.
Is there going to be more pedophilia that I've forgotten about because I forgot about the first bit? Is there going to be more bullying? Is there going to be slurs that I forgot about? I don't know. I can't remember the show, apparently. I've forgotten half of it. So
definitely based on the time. Although you called it out last episode, like it's a more progressive show than others.
Yeah, and I feel really bad saying that after watching.
No, but it is.
Yeah, but then there was like pedophilia in the first episode, which I understand they weren't like glorifying, which is they were dealing with it in like a jokey kind of way. But like, I just didn't remember. So now I'm like, what else didn't I remember about the show? I don't want to be like misspoken because you could take that quote of me saying like this show's very progressive and then like insert like the main character saying a slur or something. I can't remember. I don't know. It's binge and cringe.
You know, I was going to say that the people who would listen to a Glee fan cast wouldn't do that. But I think like stans on the internet are the people who do that. You say one thing about one character that they don't like or that they do like and you're done, kid.
Yeah, that's also what I'm worried about. I'm also, at this point, we haven't put out any of the episodes of the podcast yet.
Right, yeah, we're just in the ether.
Yeah, so in the future, I think we will like have done it so we've caught up so we can see like the comments from the previous episode before we record the next one. All of the comments are going to be like, oh, dude, I can't wait for Stanz to see this part. And I feel like you're just going to get easy spoils. So I will have to curate the comments. And Stanz, I think you are banned from the comment section.
That's all right. Hey, I've been evicted from my kingdom. I live outside of the law at this point.
One thing that I knew already that I was annoyed that I forgot last week is the showrunner is someone called Ryan Murphy, who has done a bunch of TV shows before Glee and then since. Couldn't see if they were really into feet. Didn't figure that one out. So the jury's still out. We'll have to watch this next episode to figure out if there's any feet remarks going on. And Glee was released in 2009. I now know this. This is fact. So
perfect.
How long ago is that? That's like 20...
14
that's
years.
Not 14 years. Yeah, not 20. That would be
20?
insane.
20? You all right, man?
Yeah, maths is my strong suit. So 14 years. So I think I said I was 13 and I was. So that's kind of sick. I'm good at maths.
Man, so this is the American Horror Story guy. That's what he moved on to.
Yes. He also, I think, did Nip Tuck before this, which is maybe about feet. I don't know if there's feet in Nip Tuck.
I've seen one episode of Nip Tuck in my life, and it was like I was too young and it was too avant-garde. I wasn't ready for art at that point in my life. I was like, what is going on here?
And I've never seen American Horror Story, so maybe there's some spooky feet in that. I don't know.
Oh, man, it's the perfect show for this podcast because it's so bad.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was...
Oh, yeah.
I got the impression it was good at the time, but I don't know.
Season 1, I think, is fine. And then it's, it's just camp, which is good. Like, there's nothing wrong with camp. But it's like, hey, imagine if we did this, and then they do that, and you're like, I guess I should have believed
it's
them,
like an anthology thing, right? Where it's a different story each season or something?
Different story each season, same actors, but playing different characters.
Right.
So, like, you might recognize this guy.
I thought there was like a Lady Gaga season. Am I crazy?
Yeah, it's Lady Gaga season. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Is she in every
season?
season?
No, there was a Lady Gaga season? No, not in every season. She was only in Vampire season, I think.
Ah, that's how they got it.
That's how they got her.
Last week, Stanz, you made some very bold predictions.
Oh, the boldest.
There wasn't actually that many bold predictions. You made some bold predictions for the end of the season, which we can obviously get to at the end of the season. But for this next episode, you were expecting, boom, wife, pregnancy fake. Boom.
Yeah.
Jane Lynch, Sue Sylvester, that's her name, uses Quinn as some like form of sabotage to like get back at the Glee Club for being cringe.
Which one's Quinn?
the one of the cheerleaders.
Got
the
it.
one that's interested
totally.
in Finn.
No, I completely agree. I remember that.
Yes. You remember Quinn and Finn? They made an easy rhyme for you to always remember.
Yeah. That is absurd. It's like, come on, writers, don't do this to me. I'm reading This is gonna get real fucking in the weeds. What is there's a book series. It's like 12 long. The guy died. Brandon Sanderson finished it. A Wheel of Time. And in Wheel of Time,
this isn't a Stanz related thing. If you haven't mentioned Wheel of Time once, so I'm glad we're there.
No. You're thinking of Name of the Wind, which is a bad book. I'll put that out there. So Wheel of Time.
Name of the Wind? Is it? Oh, is that part of the Wheel of Time series?
No, Name of the Wind is another book series by Patrick Rothfuss that I think is bad that I get into arguments about, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, you also talk about Wheel of Time all the time, to be clear.
Hey, sometimes I talk about Wheel of Time. And the problem with Wheel of Time is half the characters' names are just one letter apart. It's like, this is Elaine, this is Egwene, this is Iraine, and this is Egwene. And you're like, what the fuck is going to just make their names start with a different sound so I can remember who they are, especially when you're getting into it.
Right.
It's very difficult. So the fact that it's Quinn and Finn.
I would say not to the same level. I think it's pretty easy to figure out which one's which when we're talking about it, but
I can't because I think both are like unisex names, right?
Finn?
I think.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, Quinn.
Quinn. It's 2023. I don't see gender stands, so
I respect that about you. That's the whole reason I accepted this podcast.
That's the whole reason we're friends until that we talk.
Yeah.
Those were your predictions. I'm interested to see if any of them came true. Before we get into the episode, Stanz, I have something that I need you to do. Glee frogs, Gleeks. I don't know why I would call you frogs. There's probably, unless you're on Twitch, you don't really know what the fuck that is.
Very small subset.
Yeah, so if I called you a frog and you are very upset, I'm sorry. Gleeks will know this because it happens. It actually doesn't happen on the second episode and doesn't happen, I think, until like episode 5 or something. Usually, Glee does like here's what you missed on Glee, and it's fucking iconic to this series. There's like a dum 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 like in the background and stuff. And and it basically someone, whether it's Finn or Rachel or Quinn, like one of the characters, says very fast everything that happened in the previous episode or all of the plot lines that are relevant to the next episode that have happened before, in like a very quick, like 30-second summary. And then it goes, and that's what you missed on Glee. So we're going to do that, Stanz. But you are going to be the person that recounts what happened last episode on Glee.
Perfect. Okay, I can do this. I'm confident in my abilities.
So
what is the teacher's name?
You get no pointers from me, my friend. I
just need names. I can tell you what they did.
That's part of the knowing. I'm giving you a bit of extra time to prepare this mentally as I get up a 30-second timer.
Okay.
I'm going to hold it up to the camera and I will go, bing, it's over, that's 30 seconds. I will interrupt with, that's what you missed on Glee. Okay, you ready?
Okay, so you're going to say the first thing, last time on Glee, and then I'm going to talk about it, and then you're going to say, and that's what you missed on Glee.
Sure, yeah. They don't really do I don't think they do last episode on here's what happened last episode. I can't remember. They say something, but the here's what you missed the Glee is the only iconic part, so that's the only bit I care about.
Yeah.
Okay, so you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, last week on Glee.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to put some steak on it.
No, you got to finish the sentence. You only got 23 seconds
No. Reset the timer.
No,
he was just so calm.
Oh, fine. We'll reset.
It was so calm. I thought there was going to be some energy to it.
Okay, I'll give you some energy this time. I'm full Gleek mode. I know how it sounds, so I'm doing it correctly.
I don't know how it sounds. So I thought it was like, last time on Glee.
Yeah, and there's no that, because it's they're high school students. So they're just like, last time on Glee. And they're like, ooh, look at me. I'm a Gleek. Right, you ready? I'm pressing it after I've said this next sentence, which will end.
Yeah. Okay.
Last week on Glee,
we are introduced to a Spanish teacher and a cast of misfit characters who are in the Glee Club. Unfortunately, their old teacher has been kicked out because he was a pedophile and he was snitched on by, I think her name is Rachel. Rachel wants to be the star of the Glee Club, but she needs someone else. So the teacher goes and spies on this high school boy in the shower, naked as hell, convinces him to join the squad by planting weed on him, and then he's in the squad. And then they're singing some songs. They're having a lot of fun. He is caressing.
And that's what you missed on Glee.
Touching.
Yay! Let's go watch the episode. Oh wait, before we do,
for those listening at home, if you want to watch us watch this episode of Glee, full commentary, it's on our Patreon, patreon.com/binge and cringe. That's not patreon.com/cringe and binge. Do not look there. It's
don't
a
go
Minecrafter.
There. Don't go there, guys. Do not.
I mean, maybe go
do.
there. And then you install this extension. We'll have some instructions on there, and you can watch along with us as long as you have Disney Plus. It'll be fun. It's like you're our friend sitting in the room on the couch.
Woo! All right. Woo. See you in the episode.
It is a productive way for us guys to get together.
Oh, dude.
I think I'm gonna kill myself.
I didn't know you were in the show, Stanz. What the hell? And we're back. We've watched the episode, and wow, that was insane. I don't know about you, Stanz. I feel very good that I prerequisited saying I can't really remember this show because my God, were some of the jokes insane.
There were a couple jokes that were punching down in a way that was uncomfortable about like disabilities or about people who maybe have like different sexual proclivities. But I think it was fine. I think we can look back and say like that wasn't okay, but these parts were funny, right?
And also, Sue Sylvester is meant to be a horrible person. We're not supposed to like agree with anything that she's saying. So
I mean, she's my goat though, to be honest.
Yeah, when she said 5.5 members, referring to Artie in the wheelchair being half of a person. It goes by fast, and you're like, wait, did she mean that? And then she doubles down, and you're like, okay.
And she goes, yeah, the half a person is the cripple. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah,
I wasn't going to say it. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I mean, it was in the show. We just watched it. I feel like,
Yeah, it is. There was a lot of moments that were insane, but in a really good and enjoyable way. I think also the characters being high school kids is like, okay, well, they're saying something, not meaning to be insensitive when they're saying it. And also came out, what did we say? 14 years ago, 2009. So there's that as well. But yeah, there are some fucking insane moments this episode.
Yeah, and just a lot of weird sex talk. Like with I get to celibacy club, but he was just like, oh yeah, I just want to grind and fucking cum. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, that was Puck saying that, which is also a whole can of worms. His actor, we mentioned it at the start of the first thing. But it was weird him saying that in general, but also his character's like that. And there's going to be a lot of moments, I think, throughout the series where we're like, oh, you shouldn't be saying things like that. That is tough. But yeah, a lot of coming metaphors in this episode. A lot of, I'm going to look at the postman getting ran over to stop myself from coming in my pants, and then it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to work. And then, like, just in case, again, this show has done a great job, or maybe some people don't think it's great, but like double downing on like, hey, no, if you didn't get it, we're talking about cum. Because like right after he does that, the ultrasound goop comes down. You know what
dude,
I mean?
That has to be on purpose, but it made me feel so sick. Yeah, that and cutaway. Which ultrasound, brings us on to something that I think Glee fans are dying to hear. Your predictions both came true, which is fucking insane, and I hate you so much because you're gonna get such an ego from it. You're gonna be like, yeah, I am Mr. Big Shot, I know what's going on, but you actually called both of the like reveals basically of this episode.
You know when kids talk about their parents and they're like, no, he's the strongest man in the world. Like he's like does all this. That's like me. I'm basically this show is kids, and I'm like, well, yeah, of course I know what's gonna happen because it's obvious, right? It's obvious what's gonna happen, man.
Every fibre of my bone, as soon as you predicted the two things, wanted to end the podcast there and never release this because I would. Yeah. I knew.
I've got more prediction. I could see them laying the breadcrumbs, right? Because that's what you have to do. We're planting a little plant, and then we're gonna water it, and then the payoff will be at the end. And I'm seeing them plant it.
Okay, so whilst we're here, I would save this to the end of the podcast usually, but predictions, get them in. What are you saying for next episode? What do you think is going to happen?
Ooh, next episode? That's soon. I think how many episodes are in a season? Is this really 22 episodes or some shit?
I think there's like 20 episodes the first season.
Okay, then next episode, honestly, probably just filler. I'm going to say very little plot progression.
In the third
you have too
one?
many episodes.
You really think 3 is going to be filler?
Yeah, because we can't, like, some of the options they would have are Mr. Shu realizing that his wife is lying about being pregnant. We have... Because what we need to do is progress the story to break him up from his wife and have the guidance counselor be like a partner opportunity for him. But that has to be like, the whole show is basically about edging and not coming in your pants, right? And they make that clear in this episode.
Everyone
like, put
in
the
their
balloon here and do
relationships
this.
is edging in the show. Yeah,
yes,
I agree.
exactly. And it's the will they, won't they of like Finn and Rachel and him and the counselor and all these things. And it can't happen because if it happens, then the excitement is gone. So we just need to grind.
You just got a very easy prediction of filler.
Yeah, grind episode for sure. Now, I think maybe
we just had the grind episode. I don't know if you were watching. That was definitely the grind episode.
There would be more of that. Maybe like a more tangible prediction. I have a feeling, I don't know if it'll be Quinn, but one of the cheerleaders will like Glee Club and not want to spy. Maybe,
interesting.
Maybe it's one of them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because there has to be season long. Quinn has to become a good character, like a hero, not a villain.
Interesting. Sure. So you think you see her as like antagonist villain currently?
Yeah, of course. She is just like little, I mean, they call it out in the show too. Sue's like, you're like me, exactly like me. In the same way, one of my problems with the show is that like there's only 4 characters and the rest are background. It's like you have Mr. Shu and then you have young Mr. Shu, Finn. You have Sue Sylvester and you have young Sue Sylvester, Quinn. And then you have like pining lover, the guidance counselor, and young pining lover, Rachel.
See, all you see are relationships, okay? You're seeing the 2 characters that are having lovey-dovey, but that's not... Finn is definitely not Will Schuester. Like in personality, I feel like it would be crazy if Will Schuester was talking about coming in his pants and couldn't dance and was a bit dumb.
But that's just flavor. I think they're both a bit dumb. I would say that I think they're more similar than maybe you think.
They are similar. I agree. I was gonna say spoilers, no spoilies.
Yeah, no spoilers. But to me, yeah, like unfortunately they've relegated every other character in the show to just like, you are here to support. And it's funny because it's a show about Glee Club, like they're support singers. It's like Mercedes had
the backing
one
singers
line
and
it was
characters.
Just sassy black woman. Don't kick me in the face, I'll beat you up. That was it.
I do think in like the next couple of episodes they flesh out a lot more of the back characters, because they did this episode. Like, Quinn was not a character in the first episode at all. Right. You didn't even know who she was or that she existed. So I think they definitely add a bit more life into the other characters as it goes along. But they are definitely...
Yeah, I think a good filler episode would be. Like, when I talk about a filler episode, it's like, oh, we find out the kid in the wheelchair, this is his home life. And it's like, oh, his parents are fighting and going to get divorced. Like, give us one of those episodes. It's just kind of like random shit like that.
I wouldn't class backstory as like a filler episode, but I think there's a chance.
To me, it's all about the relationships and the sex. I want to know who Schuster's fucking. I want to know who Finn's fucking.
If they ain't coming, I ain't watching.
Doesn't matter.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. So anything that doesn't progress those two plot lines, I am considering filler.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's get back to the episode. I want to talk about the songs of this episode because that's something we didn't really talk about first episode. Because there wasn't really that many songs. There was Don't Stop Believing, and that was kind of it. Whereas this was like full on, we're in the swing of things. This is Glee, we're doing musicals, and there is a 5-minute song every 5 minutes, basically.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, now just listen to this song. Which for me, it was like after 20 seconds, I was like, okay, nice, very well. Okay, like give me more jokes because there was tons of funny jokes in the episode.
You are gonna love this series.
Yeah, well, part of the problem is you're only recording audio, but I am brain dead and don't know how to do that, so I'm recording video, and so I'm like, I have to try and stay. I can't just like glaze over and look up.
You can glaze over. There's no visual
because you're the only one that sees it.
Yeah,
and so you'll see me. I'm doing physical comedy during the record. I'm like pogging and like moving my hands.
You need to save your energy, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, especially during the songs, for sure.
So the first song, I can't remember if it was actually the first song. I think there was like a weird, sometimes they do a song where it's not like actually performed properly and it's just them singing with the piano. And then they do like songs. I think the first song was Gold Digger, which is our first example of Will Schuester rapping, which we talked about in the live com. But yeah, it was, at the time, I thought it was so sick, dude. I thought Will Schuester was the go. And I have an embarrassing story related to that I didn't want to say in the live commentary because I didn't want to talk over the masterpiece that was Will Schuester's rap. I shouldn't be admitting this to the internet.
Hey, this is a safe space, and the 10,000 live listeners are going to take the secret to their grave.
Well, there's only one time that I think is an appropriate time to tell this story because it's about because it's about Glee Gold Digger. So if I'm ever going to tell it, I'm going to tell it now. I didn't know Gold Digger at all, and the only version I knew for maybe 2 years after listening to Glee was Glee's version of Gold Digger.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, hey, how could you know? You're a Glee kid. You're not a Kanye West fan.
So much so that where the edit happens in the song, because they don't do the whole verse, when when it comes on in a club and I'm listening to the song, I can sing every single word up until 18 years. 18 years. You got one of your kids for you, 18 years, and that's it. Because that's when Glee stopped, and I don't know the rest. Yeah.
That's so funny.
And I've always been super paranoid of like singing along in the club and then being like, oh, if I stop singing now, someone else might also know that that's where Glee stops for some reason. I just get really paranoid.
Absurd thought. I want you to know that that's the craziest thing you've ever told me. No one is watching you in the club sing Gold Digger, and
wrong.
No one is seeing you stop, and no one is then attributing that to they're a Glee fan.
You're wrong because that's what I'm doing. I stop singing at those points, and I look around, and I'm like, did anyone just stop singing? You're a Glee.
You've never found someone, is what I'm saying.
I did find someone once, but I didn't ask if they were a Glee. But they stopped singing, and I paid attention to that. I think they were a Glee. Honestly,
that is something. I think you had mentioned that Mr. Shu rapping was like cool for you. You were 13 years old, and I think that is. I want to absolve you of what you feel is cringe. That's so
no. You don't.
Normal.
You don't need to absolve me of anything.
Because
it is cringe.
He is. What do we see?
Cringe.
Handsome, fit man. Hot blonde wife, like gonna buy a house, running the club, confident, and then also has the riz of a god that we see in this scene. He's like flirting with everyone. You can tell this guy fucks. It's like, why wouldn't you want to be like Mr. Shu? He seems cool.
Yeah, I feel like it has to have impacted me in a negative way somehow. Like thinking that was good. And like, how long did I think? I can't. I know at some point I did, and then at some point I didn't, and I don't know when that stopped. And I'm worried that it went on for far too long of me thinking that was cool and not like cringe and white. But hey, we'll move on. To the other songs, which there are 4 of this episode. Take a Bow was like the closer song. Which Glee do a lot of because there's so many songs now in every single episode, and there will be moving on, which I know you're a huge fan of, Stanz.
Yeah, I mean, they're fun. I just think they're a little long. Yeah.
Yes. And definitely, like I said in the live com, I skip like most of the songs in like future episodes when I was watching. I was like, okay, now they do a Broadway number. I'm going to skip forward because I just want the story now. Usually Glee ends on like a big musical number. It was Take a Bow this time. And fuck, Rachel Berry's just so good. No, Leah Michelle, to be clear.
No, Leah sucks. Rachel, though, the go. Yeah.
Because Rachel Berry, the character, still annoying for me. She is yet to stop being annoying.
Interesting.
I think she kind of gets past it a little bit for me when, like, in later episodes. But she is definitely full annoying arc for me right now. I think maybe she gets worse, actually. I can't really remember.
That's crazy. I like her. I think she's confident. She's cool. She's solving her problems specifically. Like she talked to the guidance counselor. She tried to do a thing. To me, I want to be Rachel, right? It's like she's got a goal and she's trying to accomplish it in like a way that is right.
Yeah, she was a lot more funny this episode. Everyone was a lot more funny this episode, I feel like.
The jokes kept hitting.
Yeah, I felt like going into this, I thought Pilot was like the best episode and everything else was downhill, which I kept saying. I think this was an improvement. I think this is a better show.
Way better.
Yeah. And it's like insanely funny. We in the first episode of the live commentary, I feel like we said a couple of things, but we weren't necessarily like laughing all the time. We were talking about things. This episode, it felt like we couldn't stop, like we couldn't talk about things because we were just laughing so much at like all the fucking one-liners.
Yeah, so many of the jokes were funny. Yeah.
Like the leaflets in the guidance counselor at Emma's room.
Yeah. My dad won't stop beating me up and shit. And it's like, oh my God. Like they were very funny.
Yeah, I went back. I've written down what some of the notes were. One of them's So You Like Throwing Up, which is the one we know because she was caught in the toilets trying to throw up. Which is also, they didn't deal with that very well, the bulimia part, but I don't know if using it as a punchline is great. Probably not. I'm maybe not the best person to speak on bulimia, but you can sound off in the comments, I guess. My mom is bipolar because she won't stop yelling. Why your parents stop loving you? And it's like a divorce leaflet. I can't stop touching myself. Fucking insane. Yeah. And wow, there's a hair down there.
And it takes so much time and effort to make those for a gag that you have to pause to see them all for sure.
Because that's why I had to go back, because I was like, dude, these are so funny. I want to write them down to talk about them. And literally it went by too fast in the episode. We had to like, we saw one in the background and that was it. But yeah, it's the little details like that. I hope they carry on. From what I remember, there's less of that, but maybe I stopped noticing. Who knows? We'll see if we can keep noticing it.
Yeah, maybe there's a whole season of gags.
Something that you talked about last episode that I don't think happened this episode.
Oh, no.
Feet.
Oh, yeah.
There was not
a single foot.
Which is good, I think. I think we're moving forward in the positive direction of no fetishists in...
Speak for yourself.
Well, I think it's better if the showrunner isn't like springing their fetish onto the public.
Right.
Regardless of your thoughts on the fetish, I think that staying away is probably for the better. So just a really weird first episode then. With the feet.
Yeah, it was very weird. In fact, I think it's even weirder now that it was in the pilot, but not in the first episode, because it means like people saw it and said something. Right?
Do you think?
There was a remarkable amount of feet in the first episode, and there was like none in the second episode.
Maybe you don't remember. You were part of like the focus group that saw the pilot and went, "Hey, there's feet in this, guys. Can we just cut down on the feet?"
Yeah, someone's got to say something. Yeah. I feel like isn't that the point of like producers and editors to like look through it and be like, "Hey, a lot of feet here, Todd."
Maybe they did, but it was too late. And they were like, "We've already shot everything. This is the pilot. Now we'll just move on.
No budget.
We'll move on sans feet and hope that everything's okay."
Or maybe the person who was going to greenlight it at NBC just loved feet. And it's like, all right, Will, just massage your feet for a minute. Just keep doing it.
They got fired. We should check the credits, see whose name gets
who changed
removed
from pilot to now. Yeah.
Kind of a side note, our guidance counselors, that's an actual thing, like an actual job in the US. I don't think it's a thing in the UK, or at least it wasn't in
So that is a job, but typically most of their work is around, and this is around like the commercialization of university in the United States. Their job is to like prepare you for college, help you get signed up for like the SATs, like our standardized tests, and like help you fill out applications to colleges.
That makes it. We kind of had that actually in high school. There was a person. I just don't think it was called a guidance counselor.
That was the worst joke in the episode, by the way, where she was like, well, I counsel and give guidance. That's why I'm a guidance counselor. And I was like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, the rest of the jokes were funny. Who wrote that?
I don't even remember that. So it clearly wasn't very funny.
I only remember it because my eyes rolled back into my head. It was when she is giving advice to Will. And he's like, wow, you're really smart. And she goes, well, my job is to give guidance and be a counselor. That's why they call me a guidance counselor.
Why is she Saikuno?
Because that's how bad the line is. When I think of poor acting, that's what I think of. Honestly, because it's like, someone's got to see through this, right?
Dude, what the hell?
I love Saikuno. Saikuno's my homie, but he knows he's putting on a character. That's a horse.
And he's great at it. It's amazing acting, Stanz, not bad acting.
It is actually good acting, but it's like the only people that upset me are the people that don't think it is.
Will and Sue's dynamic this episode was like basically how it is for eternity, and they like perfected it. I don't think it was as good in the pilot, and I think they fucking killed it this episode.
Yeah, it was awesome. They're like, all the drama that was there was funny. All of her quips and jokes were funny. We learned a little bit more about like, this is happening during the financial collapse. Homes are being foreclosed, which they mentioned. And like this school's budget is hundreds of thousands of dollars for the cheerleading team, which is funny. And she's like making all these jokes.
Dry cleaning in Europe or something. It's crazy things
exactly.
Like that.
Or the fact that, copying 17 pages, she was like this ultimate czar over that. So I thought it was like really cool learning about that dynamic.
Yeah, the opening like argument between them in the office, and she says something about this is for your menstrual cycle, and he's like, I don't menstruate, and she goes, neither do I.
Yeah, but first she goes, huh, like she's surprised that he doesn't menstruate, and then she goes, neither do I. So both of which are so funny. Like,
there's a nickname that she gives Will Schuester in like later episodes. I don't know what point it starts, but she never stops calling him it, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like a degrading, it's like prissy or something like that. It's a petunia or something. Right. And it's just so funny. Their dynamic is amazing, and I'm so glad that it's starting to like get to where I love it, basically. Okay, I think we'll have mixed opinions on this next point, the sexy dance, because you were like, this is crazy, this is too sexy. I agree, it was crazy. I feel like it wasn't that sexy.
You're insane. At one point, these children are bobbing like those birds with the water, where their necks go down, to fucking simulate fellatio on each other. At one point, he picks up Rachel and is just absolutely
that point,
dirty porn wrecking her in the air.
That
and
was
it's like,
crazy.
that's a little
I agree.
weird.
That was too far. That was bad.
If you spend half a second thinking about the other ones, they're all too far. They're all weird.
What I'm thinking is, first of all, they weren't like wearing insane things. And
no,
also,
they were actually all fully clothed. Yeah,
they were all fully clothed, which doesn't happen in future Glee episodes. Like the ones that are fully sanctioned by Will Schuester, they're like wearing fucking some crazy sexy things, and this was not that sexy compared to that. So I guess maybe I'm seeing it with the lens of you've seen worse. Episodes.
So you're like, how could you think that was bad? But to me, this show hasn't jumped the shark. This is a high school, a normal high school, and these kids are in Glee Club. And the thought that like the curtain opens and you see that, dude, people are calling the police. They're getting Joe Schuester arrested.
Will. Jesus,
Will,
Joe Schuester.
Yeah, Joe Schuester. Sorry.
In just a contrast, in season 5, this is so insane. He kicks someone off of Glee for not wanting to wear like a bikini top like Katy Perry with like fucking nipple cannons.
That's weird, man.
It is fucking weird.
That's not okay, Mr. Shu.
In season 5 because she won't wear that and she doesn't feel comfortable wearing that. But now they're wearing like full suits, and that's too far. That's too sexy.
Yeah, I think it was the simulated sex motions that really took it there.
Oh, well, so part 2 of what I was thinking was, if this was aired now, so if Glee, like this episode was, everything was the same, but it was like set in 2023, There's no way it's that tame. I know it wasn't tame, but my God, would it be 10 times worse, right?
Oh, yeah, because the entire joke is supposed to be like, we're going risque and the old, like, sex sells. And obviously Rachel has this like pent up sexual energy because she's got this crush on Finn. And so she wants to unleash that. Oh, yeah, it would be way worse.
It would be crazy.
To make the same joke, you'd have to go way worse.
Yes, you'd have to go 10 times worse than it already has, which is like looking now, like if they did that now, I think, kids shouldn't be doing that. That's crazy. So to them to do that, the TikTok dances would be fucking wild that they would be pulling off.
Yeah, although to be fair, it's kind of weird that in the same episode, they were like, oh yeah, we can't make him wear sexy stuff. Like, that's scary. But then it's like, when the cheerleaders bend over, I can see your pussy. And they're like all wearing short skirts. You know what I mean? I was like, this is, that's kind of weird, dude.
I don't think they ever said exactly that because it was the fucking the principal that said I saw a panty or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
All those kinds of things. Yeah.
I saw a panty and it wasn't from one of the girls.
Which also feels like maybe it's like shaming the gay kid. I don't know. There's like some weird implications of that joke.
I don't know what the implications were. I feel like that's fucked. Whatever it is.
But yeah, the show strikes a weird balance between like, and maybe this is on purpose, like the sexualization in front of adults being like one level, and then like, oh, the secret world of high school kids. This is what they're really talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think, so we talked about episode 1, a lot of there being, it not really having a focus on kids, right? It was Will Schuster's pilot. He was the main character. And for a show that's set in high school, that's musicals, there wasn't really much emphasis on the kids part. Do you think they went, fuck, how do we get kids involved? Let's make the next episode about sex. Because that's all it was. Every plot was about sex. It was the sex episode. Do you think they were like, we need to get people in it?
Usually you do that in the pilot. Or I guess episode 1 typically. Like if you're going to have nudity or sex in a show, you just get it in episode 1 to hook people. And then you never bring it back ever again.
Yeah.
Maybe, but my gut says that like that wasn't the last we're gonna see of that. My gut was like,
definitely
this is the new
not.
normal.
You are correct.
You know?
Follow that gut. Yep.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, it's a show for fucking high schoolers to jerk off. You know what I mean? Like that's what the show is.
Okay, well, no, let's be clear. No one was. Maybe people were jerking off the show, but that was not the goal of the show.
It's to make them feel a little funny inside when they're watching it. You know, that's what these shows are made for.
The goal of the show was to get lots of white kids rapping. That was the goal of the show, clearly, and it worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked in the UK. I'll tell you that.
We already did your predictions, didn't we?
Yeah, I think a season long, we definitely need to see a Quinn hero arc. And you know why I'm predicting that? It's not actually like anything super deep in the arts and like other shows do this. It's a very simple reason. I feel like you could predict it.
The reason that what?
Why Quinn has to turn good.
So that she like stays in the show. I don't know.
No, blonde hero. There's no blonde woman hero. It's like literally the most simple thing on TV. Yeah, it's 100% that. They need
like
a girl.
An Aryan thing? What do you mean?
No. So basically, when you are creating TV shows like this that are for everyone has to have a character that they see themselves in, right? And I think a lot of like blonde girls would see Rachel and be like, well, that's just not me. And it's Quinn. She can't be evil. Because then they're like absolutely cutting out a huge part of what their marketing needs to go towards.
Interesting.
I know that Quinn is going to be good. They just can't, for marketing purposes, they cannot avoid that.
I just don't think Quinn is evil. Is that crazy?
She's evil now, man. She called Rachel
evil.
an it like 5 times. Subtract every other episode you've seen in the future. In these 2 episodes, she's evil, man.
Vengeful, yes. Guided the wrong way by an adult. Sue Sylvester, yes.
You know what happens in the future, and you think like, no, this is a good person. She couldn't be evil.
No, I can't say what happens in the future, Stans, but if I could, I would be able to argue this point better.
She turns good.
But I can't.
That's it.
I can't argue with what you've just said. You can't say she turns good, because then anything that I try and rebuttal to that is a spoiler. So I'm left in the lurch, and I can't say anything. You can just say whatever
you don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything because she turns good, man. I know she does.
Well, I will argue this in future episodes. I will stand by currently. I think she is not evil. I don't think she's a good person. I don't think she's a good. I don't think her actions are good.
She is a villain. She's a point of friction in the story, and she is keeping our heroes down.
I think she is an anti-hero. I think she is
How is she an anti-hero? Her only lines, her only role in the show has been to add adversity to our real heroes.
Yeah.
She has never done something that, like, helped.
But she's joined the Glee Club.
Yeah, to spy and to fucking learn more about Rachel so she can scam her.
Okay, I feel like I have good points. We'll save them for next episode once I've had time to think about them.
More
and once we've seen
information,
the next
maybe
episode.
things will change. Maybe things will change. But as of right now, evil.
She's just trying to stay with a man, you know? She's seeing that evil Rachel trying to take her.
Yeah, but we're watching the show from the perspective of Rachel, so it doesn't matter if Rachel's actually the evil one and Quinn is good and the whole Glee Club is evil. Like, we have to, they're our heroes, you know what I mean?
I'm watching the show from the perspective of Emma, and I'm getting wet every episode. Holy shit, this has been a great time for me.
I will say, with him doing the chalk thing, it was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, but it would have been crazy if they did like a similar thing they did with Finn, but they did it with Emma in the chalk scene.
They basically did. That's why I'm saying there's only 3 characters in the show. Because it's like, oh, you got this on your lip, right? It's like white male character touches face of female love interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
there was a lot of there were parallels. I just don't think they're the same character. I think they're.
Oh my god, they could have shot the scene twice with the same actors, and you could have reversed it and you'd been like,
well,
oh, yeah,
that's only because you're face blind, Stanz. Which leads me on to one of the things that I actually wanted to do. I'm glad I remembered this. I want you to name every. You've had a lot of help here because we've already done the whole entire recap. So I need to ask you this. Earlier next time to see if you remember next week. But name every character.
Mr. Shoe, Finn.
Whoa, Mr. Shoe. So rewind that back. Full names.
Yeah. It's Will Schuester.
Okay.
Finn fucking Bruce Hard. I don't know what his last name is.
I don't know Finn's last name. That's fine. It's just we know Will Schuester. I'll let you off on something.
Will Schuester, Rachel, Finn, Quinn. I'm sure one of the other cheerleaders' names is Bryn.
Bryn, Min,
Mercedes,
Dancer and Prancer.
Puck.
Yes,
is a
Puck.
character.
And
then I want to call the guidance counselor.
Who is Puck?
Puck is the Mohawk
Describe
man.
Them. Mohawk man. Okay, good. I thought you were just saying a name out of thin air because you remembered me saying it.
No. And I think the guidance counselor's name, I know you just said it literally 60 seconds ago, but I can't remember. I think it's like Norma.
It's where the fuck did Norma come from?
Is it not Norma?
Not even close. Emma.
And then Sue Sylvester.
It's Emma Stanz.
Norma. They both have
Oh yeah, M-A. Well done.
Emma. Yeah,
and then Sue Sylvester. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Which is pretty good.
Who's the kid in the wheelchair? What's his name?
I'll tell you what Sue called him.
Please don't tell me what Sue called him.
I have no idea what his name is. Fred.
I think it's unfair because I think they actually have maybe said his name once in the actual show, and it was in episode 1 probably. So
yeah, I don't think anyone mentioned this episode.
I've said his name a lot though. His name's Artie. I love Artie. He's the goat.
Artie. Yeah. Arteries in his legs aren't working. I'll never forget. I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
That's so out of pocket. You didn't need to.
What do you mean? That's a mnemonic device. That's how we remember things.
Yeah, but the arteries in his leg not working. Holy shit.
It's gonna work.
If it works, it works. Let me think. I can't really talk too much about forgetting names because I forgot Kurt's name in the episode
at the beginning
for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really bad about that because Kurt's like a very good character, stays to the end, is the GOAT. They're all the GOAT, but someone's taking my Glee license as we speak. I'm gonna have to pass my test again.
The real fans are out there shaking their fist.
Yeah. What do you think was the most like out of pocket moment from the whole episode? Do you think it was probably one of the Sue Sylvester lines, right?
No, because I think those were more a sign of the times. I think the whole thought of like we have to sell sex appeal and then we're just gonna dry hump on stage for 3 minutes. That to me was what was crazy.
Yeah. Oh no. Sorry, it's definitely the principal's line of the panty line. That was actually fucked.
Yeah, that was weird.
There's no amount of going back in time that makes that okay. That was actually fucked. Right. Well, we'll end on this. What was your favorite moment of the series so far, Stanz?
Ooh, what was my favorite moment? I think my favorite moment, and I could be misremembering already, but I enjoy learning about the history of Rachel and her getting bullied in MySpace, like that kind of flashback sequence. I thought that was funny and like well done, and that's what I like remember the most about. It changed my perspective on Glee of like, oh, this is kind of just a corny like sex show for teens, to like, oh, the people writing it at least know like some strings to pull to make me laugh. Right.
Yeah. Interesting that you thought going into this that it was a sex show for teens, and then this episode
that's what
happened.
Riverdale is, and all these other shows. What's the one with the two hot guys fighting demons?
Supernatural.
They're all the same show.
You said two hot guys and then demons. I was like, Vampire Diaries, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Vampire Diaries is exactly the same show, where it's like, that's the point of the show, right? Yeah. It's just like, I feel a certain kind of way, but I don't know how to deal with it because I'm a teen, and now I watch this and it's like, okay, this makes me feel better.
I never thought of Glee like that until now.
That's the whole genre. We're wading into it.
But I was just a mid-teen who was watching a fun show. I wasn't thinking about sex at all when I was watching the show. I'm going to tell you,
you're the only one.
Yeah, I'm definitely not copiuming at all. Sick. That was a great episode.
Next one's going to... I'm worried about filler episodes, though.
Yes, I'm sure they're going to come, but unlike the characters from the episode that we watched today, I'm sure the filler episodes are going to come. But we'll edge our way there, and eventually we'll get back to some good episodes.
Love that. Cannot wait.
Thank you very much for watching. If you listen to the live commentary, that's so sick. You've been listening for a long time. Leave a comment. What should people say in the comments, Stanz?
Sheesh, that's a spicy meatball.
And obviously that's in reference to the huge balls that Finn has.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that just shows that they listened to the entire episode.
Yeah,
because you know what I mean? Like, it's like a little secret
No, yeah,
handshake.
It has to be something stupid. I was hoping you were going to say something like that. Sick. Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you in the next episode. And I'll leave you with Stanz's catchphrase.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Woo! Bye! Woo.